Hi, this is Greg at Best Choice Trailers. Today I'm going to take you for a walk around the Lamar DL14. This would actually be a GVW, given that it's got the optional gooseneck. Shown here in the charcoal powder coat with the black mod wheels. Gives it a very clean, sleek appearance. It's a 14,000 pound GVW. It's going to weigh in about 5,000 pounds empty. It's going to give you about 9,000 pound net plus your tongue weight. Tongue weight about 22% of 14,000 would be another 3. Net payload's going to be in the neighborhood of 12,000 pounds, depending on how you load it. We're going to take a walk around this unit, show you some of the different features that we think make this worthy of your consideration if you're looking for a heavy-duty gooseneck dump. So we'll start out up front. First of all, they do a full-width gooseneck toolbox. It's got a center compartment divider. We'll show you in a second. We're right about that latch. It splits. Just to the right of the latch, you'll notice the standard 110-volt charger. They do a high-capacity 110. It's an 8 amp hour. The main frame, the vertical and the horizontal of the neck are all made out of I-beam. It's a 10-inch I-beam main frame. Also, one of the features we like that they do standard is the neck gusset going between the vertical and the horizontal. Gives you a lot of strength. Notice the gusset also going from the vertical down to the main frame. Keeps the trailer very straight. Got a nice clean logo there with the charcoal powder. There's your safety chains. They do a Bulldog style spring latch coupler. So if you're not familiar with these goosenecks, it'll open automatically as you put it on your turnover ball. It's going to latch, pre-latch for you, and then you would simply need to latch it in place. We give everybody a carabiner to go with your safety breakaway system. Notice it's a sealed harness. Not only is it sealed, but it's also a blue cold weather rated harness. I put it back there so you can see how flexible it is. Right now it's probably in the neighborhood of 30 degrees. Very pliable even in cold temperatures. Okay, standard would be a spare tire up in the neck with a spare tire carrier. Toolbox is lockable. It's also serviceable with your grease zerks on the back side of the hinge. Wiring's all neatly tucked in the goose. Right hand side of your compartment's going to be your battery and your hydraulic pump. Notice 2 solenoids on the pump, so it is a power up, power down unit. And your jacks are enclosed in the back. It's got dual landing gear. It's got grease zerks on it for serviceability. Also, one thing Lamar does a little different than some in the industry, they put an Interstate Deep Cycle Marine battery in a separate poly battery box, so if you throw straps or whatnot in there, you're not going to be arc welding. Okay, there's your separate divider, so roughly half of your toolbox is open for other stuff. For those not familiar with the 12K jacks, you simply turn that handle, extend your leg down. A lot higher capacity than your 7K drop leg jacks. Okay, going back this side, first we'll show you the rigid rail. For those not familiar, rigid rail was designed by Lamar. They have apparently a fleet rental account, and one of the issues that they brought to Lamar was guys damaging the top rail of the dumps because of putting Bobcat buckets and whatnot down on it. So if you're familiar with dump trailers, you'll know that the side comes up, generally comes over, and then will go back down about a ½ inch. Lamar went ahead and returned the top rail all the way back down to the side. Okay, so there's actually a separate piece I'll try and show you that lips over. That makes that top rail very strong, hence the name rigid rail. That is definitely something that you'll probably be seeing more and more of in the future, as it's an excellent idea. Notice the stake pockets for either tying off to or for side extensions. I still have that capacity. And then they give you the verticals going up to farther stiffen the side. So you got the rigid rail stiffening the top rail and the side, and then the verticals as well. So again, the main beam on this is an I-beam. Got the double broke tread plate fenders. Notice the center support prop, and then it's also gusseted at either end. Very strong setup. See a lot of manufacturers that either don't gusset the ends or leave out the center prop. And I even see some that don't do the double broke fenders. That's designed and done to give you additional strength. Again, I noted the charcoal powder coat is an option, as are the black wheels. In the center there, you're going to see a slipper spring suspension. You'll see a slipper spring a fair amount on a 14K trailer but not all. One thing you don't generally see though on a slipper spring is that grease zert in the middle. It's called a wet bolt kit. A lot of manufacturers, that's going to be a fairly low dollar option, but an option nonetheless. That is standard on this particular unit. Okay, so Lamar gives you a pair of D-rings on the outside. Those you can strap off to if you need to, haul bulk debris or whatnot. On the tarp, you're going to have grommets. You can tie those off to these J-hooks coming down the side. Again, with the sail bar that we saw up front, it's going to keep that tarp nice and straight. You'd probably get away with a few less bungees than if you didn't have that bar. That bar is going to clamp in at the back there. Okay, so while we're at the back gate, you'll notice that top pin, that is for the three-way gate. So if you want to, on this particular gate, you can lay the gate down like a pickup truck gate. To do that, you'd pull the top pin. You can do the more traditional barn door, which most people would, which is going to swing the gate around to the side. That gizmo there is going to tie into your D-ring and hold your door back. And then, of course, the third function of a three-way gate would be your spreader gate, where it's going to hinge at the top, open up like a dump truck. You would set your gauge on either side. Notice the hinge mechanism at the back. They put a very strong hinge design on. They put the nice heavy-duty tube bumper, plate the end of that beam, put a nice strong hinge with a zert on. Coming up, you see the 7-gauge floor. Folks, this is something that I believe is unique to the industry. I am not aware of anybody else using a 7-gauge floor. It may exist, but not to my knowledge. Nearly everybody in the industry uses 10-gauge. Occasionally, you will find an 11. Not only is this a 7-gauge floor, but you'll take note, there is no seams on the floor. It's a one-piece sheet. Notice at the front, they're using 4-inch D-rings, not a 3-inch ring. At the front, they're going to put them in the front corner at the bottom of the floor. They do that because that's an ideal spot for tying down your equipment. As you come back the trailer, you'll notice the placement toward the bottom of the sidewall. They also do that so the D-rings aren't in the way whenever you go to dump, but are also convenient for tying down. Now you'll notice right where that D-ring was inside lines up with the stiffener, so you're not actually pulling against the wall without any additional strength. You got a stiffener right there to farther support it. Okay, this is a 16-footer. This guy, again, we said is going to weigh in about 5,000 pounds, give or take. Offered in a bumper pull or a gooseneck model. Bumper pull is going to weigh in a little bit less. Sidewall height on this is 24 inches. You're going to find that's pretty common in the industry. Occasionally you will find some that only have a 20-inch side. But again, the 24-inch sides on this one, that's going to net you about 7.9 yards of cubic volume capacity. That's without doing any side extensions. Folks, if you do a side extension, I wouldn't recommend going higher than the standard 24-inch factory sides. Okay, a couple things unique to Lamar I'm going to show you in the underside of the trailer. One, they do a scissor standard. It's a very strong hoist. A fair amount of your Texas-built trailers are going to have a scissor, so maybe not too much to see there. But there's still a few things that they do different. One, they box that scissor out with tube instead of angle or channel. Tube, if you're not familiar, is going to resist that torsional twisting more so than the other options in the marketplace. Also notice that's a 520 hoist. So most scissors are going to be a 516. Lamar's gone ahead and upgraded this to a 20. A 516 hoist, to give you an idea, is about a 7-ton hoist, which would certainly be suitable for this trailer. They've gone to a 520, which is about an 11-ton hoist. So certainly more hoist than you're going to need there. Okay, one thing they also do is a bed frame. Bed frame's pretty typical on a trailer this size. Some may do a bigger or smaller bed frame. Lamar's pretty industry standard. So the bed frame is not what I want to necessarily bring to your attention, but how it's done. A lot of times you're going to have a bed frame that sits over top of the I-beam frame, so you're going to have a stacked tongue, mainframe, bed frame, all three up and down. Lamar on this is going to have a unibody I-beam frame, so a nice heavy-duty mainframe that all ties into one. But then the bed frame, instead of being stacked, you'll notice is nestled inside. What that's important is this trailer still has, and I'll zoom you in, still has straight axles. You'll see the axle goes into the center of the hub and drum there, as opposed to a drop axle. So some manufacturers are going to bring your deck height down a little bit by doing drop axles. What a drop axle is going to do is lower your whole trailer down 4 inches. So everything, including those spindles, are going to be 4 inches closer to the ground. On a dump, a lot of guys like ground clearance. The beauty of this design is you haven't sacrificed any ground clearance with doing this nestled bed frame, but it just dropped you 4 inches, the same height as what drop axles would have done, but obviously there's some downside to the drop axles. So folks, I just think that's something real neat that they do. Instead of being about a 32-inch deck height, this is going to ride about 28. Makes it real nice for loading. Okay, underneath they've got structural channel cross members. Used to be the industry standard. Now you see more formed cross members. Formed aren't bad, but structural channel is going to be a little bit heavier and a little bit stronger. Undermount ramps are standard. They do pull out from the rear. You can see the hooks on the very end of the ramp. So that's about a wrap. If you have any questions on this trailer, if there's anything I haven't answered, feel free to give us a ring. We can be reached at 717-220-4220. You can always visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com. Thanks for looking.